Welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. This will be my updated draft, the first one since the draw has been made, and I'll be making a team selection video later on in the week, as well as the deadline stream on the 6th of September on the Tuesday, so be sure to tune in for that. Let's get this video to over 200 likes. I've been having a few issues with the UCL Fantasy leagues, but just join the league code that you can see on the left-hand corner of your screen and check all the links in the description below, and hopefully that is all sorted by the time Matchday 1 begins. If you're new to UCL Fantasy or need a recap, then be sure to check out my How to Play UCL Fantasy guide. I cover all the rules in detail, the 2 chips, the Limitless and the Wildcard, as well as some key differences from other fantasy games such as FPL, such as ball recoveries. You've also got Man of the Match awards and many other factors such as changing your substitutions. You can do it manually, and the captaincy and how that all works. So be sure to check that out. We've got 100 million to spend just like with FPL, but let's see what we can do and the best team for Matchday 1. The goalkeepers haven't changed from my first draft video. Courtois and Gribic are in here still, but you could go for 2 rotating goalkeepers because in UCL Fantasy you can make the substitution and it gives you a bit more of a chance of securing that clean sheet and the points that you ultimately want. But I don't really like many of the 4.5 million options. I'll be doing more research trying to find out if there's any potential bargains. The same goes for 4 million goalkeepers, but right now I haven't found anything at all. And Courtois I can trust despite the fact that he hasn't kept a clean sheet in La Liga this season. In 3 matches, he has made 9 saves, and against Frankfurt in the Super Cup final, he also made 3 saves, and he kept a clean sheet in a 2-0 victory for Los Merengues. His ownership is 44%, and he scored 69 points last season, which was 23 more than second place Vlachodimos. So Courtois was by far the best goalkeeper option last season, but Vlachodimos did start the season at 4.5 million, and sometimes these options can just pop about and no one would expect them to do well. They might have a difficult group, they might have also a tough round of 16 game, so keep an eye out for that. Right now though, I'm sticking with Courtois. There are some key changes in the defence, but Joao Cancelo remains. He hasn't had a great start to his FPL season, 2 yellow cards in 4 Premier League matches. He got 1 fantasy assist and 11 points though in Game Week 2 versus Bournemouth, and he definitely is capable of some huge returns. He also makes a lot of ball recoveries. He is 43% owned, so that's another kind of template pick, and he got 65 points last season, which was the most of any defender in the game, including those from Real Madrid like Eder Militao, who played an extra game. But Joao Cancelo for me is one of the very best, if not in UCL Fantasy, he might be just the very best option. Man City haven't looked great defensively so far this season, but I still would cover them in some sort of way, despite having a decent group with Sevilla and Borussia Dortmund, who, to be fair, aren't on City's level. Joe Gomez is also in here. He's more of a short-term purchase, and I tend to play the wildcard around Matchday 3 because you get Matchday 3 and 4, which is identical as you're facing the same team, and it's a good opportunity to play the wildcard. You also got Matchdays 5 and 6, and then you have unlimited transfers heading into Matchday 7, which is the knockout stages, the round of 16. But Joe Gomez has conceded 3 goals in 3 Premier League matches, and he kept a clean sheet in Liverpool's 9-0 victory over Bournemouth. His ownership though is 1%, so I have 2 template picks there in Courtois and Cancelo, but Joe Gomez is an ultimate differential and he scored 10 points last season. But when he was a main starter for Liverpool, he was a good UCL Fantasy asset, getting plenty of ball recovery points as well, so keep an eye out for him, but in the long term I wouldn't trust him and I don't think he'll be first choice. Another 4.5 million option, and we have plenty of those in the defence, is Alex Sandro, who has kept 2 clean sheets in 3 Serie A matches, only 1 goal conceded, which was against Roma, and he also assisted Di Maria versus Sassuolo. His ownership is only 7%, and he scored 36 points last season. He does have a bit of a tough group with PSG and Benfica, but I still think he offers good value. But I have to say, my defence could change the most of any position in my team heading into the Matchday 1 deadline, because as much as all these 4.5 million options offer good value, they're kind of short-term picks, and Alex Sandro starts Matchday 1 against Paris Saint-Germain, and that won't be easy at all. So if I can stretch to maybe a 5 million defender who can also get ball recoveries and has better fixtures, I may do that in the end. Nicolas Otamendi was one of the very best UCL Fantasy options last season. He scored 55 points and he was the 5th highest in terms of defenders, despite being knocked out relatively early compared to the others. So actually, if you talk about kind of points per minute, Otamendi was arguably one of the very best in the defender position, and he's only 4.5 million still. He did get sent off in his last league match versus Casapia, and that was a 1-0 victory for Benfica. He also has 2 clean sheets in 2 league games and 2 Champions League qualification clean sheets anyway versus Dynamo Kiev. His ownership is only 6% and he scored 55 points, as I said. And I think he is probably one of the very best options in the game. I don't expect Benfica to get too many clean sheets, but in Matchday 1, they have a fantastic fixture. So Otamendi has a very good chance there of getting some points. The final defender, and yet another absolute bargain at 4.5 million, is Reinildo Mandava, who played for Lille last season and then joined Atletico Madrid in January, and he has kept 1 clean sheet in 2 La Liga games. However, Atletico Madrid did lose in the last match 2-0 at home to Villarreal. His ownership is 23%, so he's a bit more popular. And he managed to do 75 ball recoveries, which was the most of any player. The ones that were kind of closest to him were Casemiro and Fabinho. But Reinildo, I mean, in terms of ball recoveries per minute, he's by far the very best in the game. And I think he's a fabulous UCL fantasy option. Atletico Madrid have a decent group, you could say. But either way, even without the clean sheets, I think Reinildo can get those points from the clean sheets and also from the ball recoveries. So I have to say, I'm very happy with him as a purchase. He's probably one of the most nailed on in my defense. Let's see how he does when the Champions League begins. The midfield is fairly similar to my first draft video. Kevin De Bruyne remains. He has scored 1 goal and notched 3 assists in his opening 4 Premier League matches. He has created 5 big chances and he has made 14 key passes. So a very impressive start to the season. And he was also a great UCL fantasy option this season before last. And his ownership is 19% and he scored 49 points in the last Champions League campaign, where he got 2 goals, 4 assists and 1 Man of the Match award. Either him or Haaland would be the best way to cover Man City's attack, but you also have a few other options like Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan, who are also great FPL options, especially in the case of Gundogan, more so than Bernardo Silva in my opinion. In Cuckoo though, what a season he's having, and he also was fantastic in the last campaign. He got a goal and an assist against Bayern in the Super Cup final where they lost 5-3. He also has 3 goals and 1 assist in his opening 4 Bundesliga matches, only 1 blank in that time. His ownership is 13% and he got 60 points. His group isn't absolutely amazing. Real Madrid is going to be quite a tough test for Leipzig, but the other 2 games against Shakhtar and Celtic, that's where Nkunku could really come into a league of his own, and I think he's a great option. Probably my favourite, around 9 million and below. And then we have Jorginho, only 5.5 million, the penalty taker for Chelsea. He got 2 goals, 2 assists and 36 ball recoveries last season with 2 Man of the Match awards, and that also enabled him to get 50 points, and his ownership is 28%. So he is a popular option, and I think he is probably the best around his price and below. But we do have a few other maybe hidden gems. Fabinho is someone I would never recommend in FPL, but in UCL Fantasy, because of the ball recoveries, he is a great option. He made 73 ball recoveries last season, only third behind 2 other Brazilians, Casemiro in second with 74 and Reinildo Mandava, who we covered earlier, with 75. His ownership is 7% and he got 46 points last season, so you can rotate easily between all of these midfielders. And apart from the kind of second goalkeeper, which I do lack, everyone else can be rotated and subbed in, and that boosts the chance of getting some returns really, which is what the substitutions are really there for. The final midfielder is Taylor from Ajax. He has scored 2 goals in his opening 4 Eredivisie matches, and he has started every single one of those. And he's also got only 38 Champions League minutes last season, but that will definitely change this time round. His ownership is only 2%, so he's going under the radar. Most people look at, the opening kind of draft and they just look at who scored the most points last season and try to fit in as many of these players as possible. But sometimes you're going to have these players who maybe don't do that much in the last campaign and they suddenly start to get more opportunities and minutes, and Taylor could be a great midfielder around 5 million. And he is my Casemiro replacement, and he was fairly locked into my team before his move to Man United. But now let's move on to the forwards. We've only got 29.5 million left. What are we going to do? Well, we do have enough kind of funds to spend on 2 premium forwards, which is great to see. We have used every last drop. Lewandowski is in here. He has scored 4 goals in 3 La Liga matches, including 2 braces, and he was very unlucky not to score a hat-trick in his last match. His ownership is 20%, so he's a nice differential and arguably the best captain of Matchday 1. He scored 91 points last season, and if you compare his kind of points per minute, it's superior to Benzema, who was the best Champions League player last season. Lewandowski scored 13 goals, got 3 assists, also earned 2 penalties, which gets you some points, even if the penalty is missed, which was by himself, of course, and he got 3 Man of the Match awards, and he's just an exceptional player, one of the best UCL fantasy options of all time. other than the likes of Ronaldo and Messi, who are kind of the obvious ones in the past. But in recent years, you have to say Haaland and Lewandowski are the two best. And the prices are very strange this season. Lewandowski's 11 million. You've got Neymar there at 10 million, who's a fabulous option as well. He is the best player in the world right now. He has returned in every single game this season. 2 goals in the trophy, the Champions versus Nantes in a 4-0 victory for PSG. He's got 6 goals and 6 assists in 4 league games. That is absolutely ridiculous. And Neymar is the go-to forward for PSG, and he is the cheapest. But he only got 14 points last season, and his ownership is 14%. But I have to say, I expect much better things from Neymar this time round. Juventus will be tough in matchday 1, and that will be a good opponent for them in the groups. But the other two, you would expect PSG to win those games, despite Benfica doing very well last season. The final forward, who also remains from my first draft, but I still think he could make way in the end, is Darwin Núñez. He scored versus City in the Community Shield final. He got a goal and an assist off the bench versus Fulham, and he got a red card on his first start in the Premier League versus Crystal Palace, and he hasn't featured since. But that suspension has been served. He'll be back very soon. But will he start over Roberto Firmino? That is the key question. And what I might do is downgrade Núñez, maybe to a 4.5 million forward who won't play, and then upgrade one of my midfielders, perhaps Fabinho, and try to bolster my midfield. Let me know what you think I should do. Núñez is 15% owned. He was one of the best forwards last season, scoring versus some top teams, including Ajax, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich, and he got 47 points overall. But I'm not so sure if he's going to get the minutes required to justify his price, which is still pretty nice to be fair, and that's why he's in my team. But I would maybe rather go for a more expensive forward, or downgrade that position and upgrade something else, such as the midfield, like I said before. But Núñez scored 6 goals last season and got 2 Man of the Match awards, so he's certainly not a bad option by any stretch of the imagination, and I think there is a good argument for going for the Uruguayan. I'm very happy with this squad overall. It's not perfect, there are some flaws of course, but it's not a bad draft to be honest, and I'd be quite happy starting match day 1 and then just analysing what happens in the first few match days before maybe playing my wildcard in match day 3. That's not set in stone by the way, but that's what I have done in my last 2 UCL Fantasy seasons, and it's a really good strategy. And you can also play the Limitless maybe in match day 5 or 2. I'm going to be analysing the fixtures even further and then giving you my opinion on the best time to play the Limitless as well as the wildcard. Let me know what other kind of content you want to see for UCL Fantasy, but I will see you for the next team selection video as well as the deadline stream. It'd be great to have you on there as well. So many of you tuned in last season, and it's always a blast. Before we wrap up, I'm going to show you how this team would line up with the substitutions and the captaincy in mind, because those are 2 important factors in this game. I would encourage you once again to check out the How to Play UCL Fantasy guide, because I explain everything in detail. But to summarize very briefly, the captaincy and the substitutions. I've got Neymar as my captain right now, but what you want to do is captain someone playing on the 6th of September. Everyone's going to be playing on the Tuesday or the Wednesday, the 6th or the 7th, and I'm going for a captain on the 6th. It's between Neymar and De Bruyne, and let's use my team as an example. So you can pick whoever you want from those 2. I think those are the 2 best at my disposal, and if they blank or don't do that well, you can then switch the captaincy to someone playing on the 7th. And for me, the clear standout, especially from my team, is Robert Lewandowski on the 7th. So you can then change the captaincy, but you can't change the captain to someone who has already played or playing on the same day on the Tuesday. So just bear that in mind. And in terms of substitutions, you can see here when it's sorted out by the date, everyone there is playing on the Wednesday, the 7th of September. Do not have players who are playing on the 6th on your bench, because you are going to be missing out on their points entirely, when you could actually have the possibility of having maybe some extra options on the bench playing on the Wednesday who can come on for those that blank on the Tuesday. So hopefully that clears everything up, and it's very, very important because it can help you gain those extra points to do very well. I got a good rank last season. I was very happy with it. I finished in the top 900 in the world, and the season before that I finished around 4,000. I need to double check that by the way, but very, very happy. Almost got to 1,000 points as well, which would have been exceptional. But as you can see, those key factors really play a big part. And also don't be shy about going for these centre backs, these defensive midfielders who can get ball recovery points. For every 3 balls recovered, a player gains a point. So that is also an extra source of points that you don't get from other fantasy games. bear that in mind, see which players get these ball recoveries like Mandava or Reynildo as he's called in this game, and you can also do very well this season. But thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe for new. Let's get this video to over 200 likes, and I hope to see you for the UCL Fantasy deadline stream next week, as well as the future team selection videos and much more. There's going to be best wildcard and limitless team videos in the future. We can't play those chips right now on Matchday 1, so I'm not going to be covering that, of course. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, DylanRCM, and also check all the links in the description below to join the Discord server, the UCL Fantasy League, and also become a patron or a channel member. Thank you to everyone who's already supporting the channel even further. It's much appreciated as always, so thank you so much, and I wish you all the best of luck for this upcoming UCL Fantasy season, and I hope you enjoy the football, and I'll see you next time.